You are listening to Directions from a Spiritual Tour Guide podcast. I am your host, Chanel Scott. I'm a psychic medium and energy healer who has been supporting those on a spiritual journey for over a decade. I'm your tour guide into the world of the unknown, showing you that the magic of the universe is at your fingertips. I believe spirituality is simple and fun, and this podcast will make it easily accessible, giving you the real talk on all things divine and spiritual, helping you to step into the flow, manifesting your dreams because we all deserve to be living our best life. Are you ready for an adventure? Hello and welcome, sunshines, to another beautiful episode of Directions from a Spiritual Tour Guide podcast. My name is Chanel. I am your host and your spiritual tour guide. And after this week's weekly channeled message, I knew this had to be the topic of this week's podcast. The sacred pause. Slowing down and listening, hearing your soul. And this one resonates with me in a big way as I've gotten really good at the pause. And I wasn't in the beginning, and that's the part that I want to share with you. When I started to do spiritual work, the pause was really difficult for me. It was a moment where I felt like I was disconnected, where I thought the information stopped flowing, and I would just get flustered, I would get upset, I would get detached, and it wasn't productive. And it took a really long time for me to recognize pause and what it actually had to share. And this probably happened shortly after I started reading professionally. I believe it started during my medical intuition training when I really got good at tracking energy and tracking information. And I get stuck and I would think it was me. And the reality was that I was experiencing pause, and pause is really actually a very sacred thing, and our body, our soul wants us to acknowledge it. And I didn't get that back then. And it still catches me up from time to time. But pause can be a really difficult thing. And this is like on so many levels. So I'm just talking right this second about the spiritual connection and doing this work. Doing channeling or energy connection, because it even happens when I do energy work. There are times where I'm like, no, the body, the business, spirit guides, they just want us to pause for a moment. And when we allow and just acknowledge that this is a pause, it picks back up again, usually pretty quickly. But there is this place of giving space, sacred space, for the energy of the pause. This space is really important. Now, if we kind of cut to like just day-to-day life, we really recognize that the pause is a place that a lot of people don't feel comfortable. I often say when I teach yoga, we're starting in Shavasana. This might be the hardest part of your practice if you're not someone that knows how to settle well. Most of us run at this high speed all the time, and we move with a dysregulated nervous system. We are constantly in fight and flight or survival mode, and we are constantly like feeling this need to move and do and things. And it can be really uncomfortable to be still and in our thoughts. And this isn't just Shavasana on our yoga mat, although I do appreciate when my entire class settles and stops moving and is just present in their bodies for a moment. But this is the day-to-day, and we really see this with the next generation that are plugged in all the time. They don't know how to disconnect. They're constantly on a device of some sort, constantly playing and being stimulated. So it's really hard for them to stop and be paused and be in stillness because they're not very good at it unless the battery's dead. And even then, they're still a little sketchy. They're getting all sketched out, trying to wait for a battery to charge so they can get plugged back in again. But practicing unplugging, practicing being in the pause, practicing being quiet and still is so powerful. As what came up in the channeled message this week was really this piece of, we expect things to be big, thunderbolts, epic, grand, pomp and circumstance, ritual, ceremony. And the reality is that the aha moments, the moments of powerful transformation, typically happen in the stillness. As I said in that channeled message, when chaos hits, when the storm blows in, we're not clear-minded. We are not clear-souled. We are just dealing with the chaos in the moment, and we aren't making decisions. We are just surviving. So when we actually pause, that's when transformation actually happens. It isn't in the chaos. It isn't in the blow up. But it's when we take time to contemplate, reflect, process, that the quiet